Hey guys, welcome back. It's Melody, and today we're going to talk about my absolute favorite tidy tips. The ways that you can keep your house clean effortlessly. I'm all about efficiency and keeping a very harmonious and effortless type of living style. So we're going to talk about the most efficient tips on how to keep your house always clean. And the very first tip is to just do it. As soon as you see something, just do it. And it's easier for some people than others. So if this is a weakness of yours, it's good to make note of it and to just force yourself to commit to things if you're not naturally geared towards commitment. So what I mean by that is if you've got to run an errand and you're looking out the house and just kind of sitting there, just do your face, because now you've committed to it. You've committed to it. Now you're leaving. And the same thing when it comes to the house. Grab your timer, your 5-minute timer, turn it upside down and just get to it. Get to it, because you will not work only 5 minutes. Guarantee you will work 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Same with reading. Just commit to doing 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Most of us, it's just getting started that takes the most energy. So what you got to do is you just got to overcome that block, because that's just a mental block. It's not real. So you just got to overcome it. You just got to force yourself to overcome that block. How many people are having so much stress because of the mounting things they've got to get to, because they just can't rise to the occasion. They just can't do it. It's just getting started. They know they have the capacity, but they just can't get started. So that's my most important tip, is just to rise to the occasion. And my very next tip is to set a timer. Set a timer if you often get sidetracked, because the more that you get sidetracked, the harder it is to get any task done. Studies have actually shown that multitasking is bad for the mind. If you think about a scientist, you think about somebody that's looking through a glass and they're really focusing on one thing for a long period of time. They're extremely observant because they're getting everything out of that observation. So the more scattered you are, the less you're getting out of productivity, the less you're getting out of your energy, your time, and your money. Every pleasure is being diminished because it's moving too fast. So you got to slow down and really focus. So a timer really helps that. You don't want to get sidetracked because you know the timer is going, and you can stay on task, which is very important because you get a lot more done if you just focus on one thing at a time. And the next tip I have is to fill your hands always. Whenever you start cleaning, never go into one room and pick up one paper clip and then move to that room because it's going to take forever. Grab as much as you can. As much as you can. If you want to grab baskets, fill the baskets as much as you can towards the room you're headed toward. Don't keep going back and forth, because again, that's scattered energy, that's wasted energy. We're moving around, but a lot is not getting done. So we want to maximize ourselves. We want to maximize our energy as we're moving from room to room. And the very next tip that I have is to identify your problem areas in your house. Everybody has a couple of problem areas, but if we are focusing on the entire house, again, our energy is going in so many directions, and we can't focus on what truly needs the work. Same thing with my hobbies. If I'm working on a hobby, I have a couple going at a time, but I know my limit and I stop there, because if you keep going, you're going to diminish the amount of energy you can spend per hobby. Same with your house. You're looking at your house and there's two areas, the kitchen and maybe your bathroom, that's always getting dirty. You have to focus maximum energy on those areas. Be very intentional when you're working within those areas and find out systems, better ways to do things. Look at that area and find out what's the problem. How can we make this a little bit better? How can we make this area more efficient? How can we minimize possessions in this area? So really focus on those two areas, 2 or 3 areas in your house. My next tip is to make sure everything has a designated space, because if things do not have a designated space, they're going to cause a lot of problems when your hands are all full and you're trying to put things back. If there's no room on the shelf for the next book, or if there's no designation for where your purse goes, then putting things back becomes a monumental mental chore because you're looking at the space. How am I going to fit this book? May as well just leave the pile there, because the clothes aren't going to fit in the dresser anyway. So you really want to make sure that everything has a space, and ideally everything has a space with a little room to breathe. So nothing's jammed to the max. Ideally, things are organized so that there's not too much, because if there's too much, putting things away becomes so hard because you're stuffing things in. And it's also visually more appealing if things have a little bit of breathing room in between them. The next tip I have is to use Post-it notes. Utilize whatever is necessary, however you can get the job done. Don't write anything off. So CEOs and people that are highly productive, they use paper. I use paper. I'm not a CEO, but the bottom line is that I want to get the job done. So grab your paper and write 1, 2, 3 9, I don't know how many areas in your house that need work, but these are the areas that are going to take longer than 30 minutes to work on. So for me, I have 3 areas currently that I'm working on that's going to take longer than 30 minutes, and that is my electronics, a stack of papers that I need to scan, and one other area. But I put 1, 2, 3, and I put that post-it right on that area because I don't want it cluttering up my to-dos, because it's not, to me, it's not a to-do. It's a monumental task. So it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of energy, and I need a block of at least an hour to get to those things. So when you see those piles in your house that you need to get to, you need to scan in paperwork and things like that, then you know if you have 9 or 10, you know how many things you got to get to. And then you can slowly, one by one, take away those post-it notes, and your life will be so much better. If you can focus on those 10 post-it notes or however many you've got this year and just knock those 10 out, your life will really improve. But at least you know how many big tasks you've got on the horizon. My next tip is to give minimalism a try by hiding all the things, especially in your problematic areas like the kitchen, that you're not sure that you actually get use out of. Hide those things in a bag for 30 days to 3 months and put it away somewhere far away from the kitchen, and see if you grab any of those things out. If you grab none of those things out, donate them, because your life will be so much better the fewer things that you have to put away. When I was in college, I really downsized to very few things because I needed maximum energy. I have a lot more now because I can handle it, but only have what you can handle. If you can only handle a few possessions like me, it's not that important to you, then go that route, because that route is very liberating. And this extends also to activities. The less that you're doing and the more that you're making sure you're getting something out of everything, and everything has a purpose in your life, the better your life becomes, because you have more free time, more energy, so that things can be in order. So I always say the less you buy, the less you have to put away. So right now, think about that when you go to the store, when you're buying a bunch of fruit juices and stuff like that. Just think about that, because if you just had water, you're gonna have to put all that stuff away. So really consider if it's adding enough value to justify all of the work that's going into that item. Next tip I have is to buy containers that are multi-use. You want to buy containers that are multi-use because containers like that will stand the test of time. Once you use them for one thing, you can immediately transfer them to another place in your house, or you can utilize them for something else. Or if you donate them, for sure they will get taken up because someone else can utilize them. If you get too many specialty stuff, that's when decluttering almost never ends. So it's important to get items that will stand the test of time. Quality items and multi-use items. The third to the last thing is to work with what you have. Work with the talents that you have. Work with the family members that you live with, their personalities. Everybody has pros and cons. Everybody. Nothing is all upsides. So what you have to do is you have to evaluate things as they are and work within those parameters, because if we're too idealistic, then there will be constant frustration. You have to bring it down a notch and see where people are at and see what their skill set is and work within those skill sets. So if you have a family member that's extremely messy, then have all of their stuff in one area or in one room. Work within those parameters. Don't just keep living in one day it will just, they'll magically wake up and they'll be just as organized as me. We have to accept people as they are, or else even if you can assert what you want and get somebody to agree with it, it doesn't mean necessarily it's going to work out, because there'll be a lot of obstinance or a lot of checking out or things like that. So it's not going to work long term. If your spouse is not a minimalist or your spouse is not organized, you have to work with them, keeping all their stuff in one confined area and not going in that area and trying to rustle it all together. Just leave their area alone and focus on the rest of the areas of the house. So the second to the last tip I have is to use one day a week for food. So order in your food from grocery stores or pick it up and get all your food out, rinse it, put it in your nice containers. Your fridge is glowing, and that way you don't constantly have to prep throughout the week, because what happens is you're dirtying so many dishes. The goal of meal prep is not to just make sure you stay on track so that you're not spending money out of the house, you're not dirtying the kitchen so much. That's really important because the kitchen gets so dirty. For instance, if you prepare 5 lunches throughout the week and you have them all in your containers ready to go, boom, it's all made. But imagine if you have to create that sandwich or whatever you're making every single day for the next 5 days. This may seem insignificant, but over time it adds up in big ways. So never underestimate what you can do. And if you can't do 5 meals, that's fine. Do 3 meals. Work with whatever you can, but just get started on having one day where you do meal prep. And then my very last tip, and this is the most important tip, always buy things with the future in mind. Design your house, organize it with intelligent design. Organize it with the future in mind. Is this going to stand the test of time? Is this the most efficient? So what I'm saying is I use clear placemats, for instance, and I can pop them in the dishwasher with all my dishes, so I don't need to wipe them down. I use a cordless vacuum, so I don't need to plug it in. It's very easy to use. I elevate as much as I can. Even underneath the cabinets, I elevate as much as I can, so everything is so easy to wipe down. If the toaster is dropping crumbs, I put a clear mat under there, so the crumbs are falling on the clear mat. Make things as simple as possible. Intelligently design your place. There's so many options, ideas that you can implement so that your cleaning is way easier. And the most intelligent of all is minimalism, is not getting so attached to things that they're taking up all of your energy. It's having true independence, freedom from things, and freedom from frustration. There's a lot less to organize and a lot less to clean around. But I hope that you guys like this video. Hope you guys will try a few tips. If you liked it, give it a subscribe. I'll see you guys next Sunday in the next minimalist and organization video.